Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Ringside Rundown podcast. My name is Erik Vasquez, and joining me on the line is my podcasting partner in crime. Yes, that rhymes. She's coming straight from the Berg. She's none other than Shay Hickson. Shay, what's going on, my friend?
What is going on, guys? I have to put a little disclaimer here before we get into everything because
Uh-oh.
boy, we have a lot to talk about today because
Yeah,
there
we do.
is a lot of stuff. As fate would have it, and I don't know if any of the listeners can really tell by the way I'm talking right now that fate decided to give me a sore throat the last few days. So I may not be as usually chatty like I normally am with these predictions and just the podcast in general, but trust me, it's not that I don't want to talk. I do. It's just I don't know if I'll be able to talk a whole lot without like breaking into a coughing fit. So I'll do my best today. We're
And
trying.
of course, it would happen on a big show such as this episode,
Yeah.
with everything that we have to cover. For those of you that are listening to the for the first time, welcome on in. Hopefully, you're comfortable. You got your snacks ready. Your headphones are in comfortable, and you're ready to go. We are a professional wrestling podcast where Shay and I discuss what's going on in the world of professional wrestling, whether it's WWE, AEW, New Japan, any promotion out there that's having something newsworthy in terms of wrestling. We talk about it on the show, and this episode in particular is a very big one because we have a huge weekend of professional wrestling all across the board, from WWE to AEW's big All In show, and we're gonna have predictions for each match that is advertised on each show. We're going to be going over Saturday night's main events, WWE Evolution 2, and again, AEW All In Texas. So we got a lot of matches to go over, both from both companies. Let me ask you, do you feel like WWE looked at All In and they decided to counter program it? What are your thoughts about that?
I feel like it's always a very funny thing because they could probably deny it all they want, but it's a little too convenient when you try to put some stuff on right around the same time as AEW's biggest show of the year. To be fair, though, I feel like it's really tough to compare All In to Saturday Night's Main Event
Yeah,
because you're comparing a pay-per-view to a nationally broadcast TV show, technically, or a
right.
special program. I mean, it's a special program, but it's on cable television, so it's granted more eyeballs might see Saturday Night's Main Event, but I feel like the grandeur and the spectacle, it's like you're not going to be able to top All In. Like,
R-
there's no way.
right.
However, I'll get my as good of a mini rant as I can go off on today. I am just fucking annoyed and but not even surprised at how terribly they have built up Evolution. It is really just like pissing me off
Yeah.
because
And
they did this shit last time.
yeah, and like I maybe it's strategic because like they did it last time and everybody was like, well, for a card that wasn't really heavily promoted, it was a pretty good show. And like looking at the card for Evolution this year, it's the same situation. Like there's a lot of great matches on this card for Evolution, and they've done little to no promoting of the show.
Yeah, and well, but the sad thing is too is that you have these, as we always kind of say, the loyalists. Um, I remember some tweet where they had like the 3 or 4 like matches that they had announced this week alone, and they're like, "Oh, see, guys, you just had to be patient, blah blah blah, whatever." And someone's just like, they've literally added them within a week of the show. That's not like pat on the back, good job, snaps for us. We did a thing. It's
Yeah,
like if you're gonna put those kind of matches, especially just some of the matches we're getting, like within the last week or two, you get Io and Rhea, you get Bailey and Lyra and Becky, which I'll flat out just say it now. I mean, I would have saved it for later, but I'm just gonna flat out say it now. That should honestly main event. That
mm,
like that is the most compelling, fleshed out story on this pay per view, I think.
right. Yep.
And do I think it's gonna happen? Uh, there's a chance, but I could also fully see them doing Io and Rhea, which obviously I love Io or Rhea. We all know this, but I don't really think it needs to be the main event. I mean, that could be the opener. That would be a great opener,
Right.
but I just give it to the triple threat for the women's IC title, because that's just going to be the most compelling story out of all of them, at least for me.
I think so too. I think you're correct, and I am just so surprised at the weekend of wrestling that we're going to be getting and everything that we have to cover. Tonight on this episode of the Ringside Rundown podcast, we will be talking about Saturday night's main event, which unfortunately only has 3 matches that are advertised for Saturday night's main event. I'm sure there's probably going to be 1 or 2 added to the show, but that's what's advertised as of right now. We're also going to be talking about Evolution, and then we're going to finish it off with AEW All In, that is also happening on Saturday. There is also a show that we won't be covering that is going to be happening at the same exact time as All In, and that's NXT Great American Bash. So again, just an insane amount of wrestling, and shout out to all my wrestling content creators out there who do what we do. It's going to be a very busy, very exhausting weekend just trying to consume all of this professional wrestling.
I feel like I already need a nap just thinking about all of this. There's going to be a lot of DVRing. There's going to be a lot of replays after the fact.
Yep.
It's just going to be a lot. Thank God we're not covering Great American Bash. No offense, but I think 3 shows is enough.
Yeah,
we're good.
3 shows. 2 in one day, and then Evolution. So really excited. All right, let's start it off with Saturday night's main event. Again, I'm highly surprised there aren't more matches advertised for this. There are only, as of right now, 3 matches advertised for Saturday night's main event. I don't know if it's gonna be like, because they don't really have a set time as far as like it's a 2-hour show, 2.5 hour. So it could just be like an hour show, an hour and a half, 2 hours. Like, we don't really know if they're going to be really adding any extra matches to this card. I'm leaning towards they will by SmackDown, but we don't know. But these are the matches that they have going on right now that are advertised. I'm talking about Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre, LA Knight versus Seth Rollins, and Gunther versus Goldberg for the World Heavyweight Championship. So let's start it off. Randy Orton versus the returning Drew McIntyre. I know your mom was excited to see Drew McIntyre back on the TV.
Yeah, and I could not stop laughing at his shirt.
It's a great shirt. It's a great shirt.
It is. I don't think I could pull that off at my job. I mean, my boss is a wrestling fan, so maybe he might find it funny, but probably my boss's boss wouldn't really appreciate it too much. But yeah, it's like glad to see him finally back.
Right.
I mean, they could always use Drew McIntyre. It's always an improvement whenever he's healthy and when he's on his game. And this is going to be a physical match. I mean, it's no surprise considering who that is, but yeah, it's kind of out of the blue a little bit. But again, I feel like kind of just has been WWE's MO for these shows this weekend.
Right.
It's just we're just going to put stuff in last minute just because we can, because it's just like, why not? But yeah, I feel like you have to give it. I think give it to Drew, because we kind of started to see Randy's kind of fall a little bit when he lost to Cody at Night of Champions.
His descent into madness.
Yeah, I don't know why I couldn't figure that phrase out, but yeah, his descent into madness. So I feel like him winning here doesn't make any sense, because if that's what we're doing and we're just slowly seeing him slip into his old habits, then him beating Drew coming back right out of the gate would be a little silly. So right. I think they'll give it to Drew, A, to give him something to do, and B, just to further Randy story along, because believe it or not, guys, this is a really hard thing to understand with some of you. Just because you lose doesn't mean that you are the loser of the feud or the big picture in general. Right. Sometimes you are the winner when you lose, but
yeah, that's the weird thing about professional wrestling that the current crop of professional wrestling fan doesn't seem to understand, is like, somebody has to lose, especially if it's a one-on-one match. Somebody's gonna lose. It definitely can be your favor or who you choose to win the match. But like you said, a loss doesn't necessarily define the direction that they're trying to go with the feud or the angle or the big story in the bigger picture. So it's one of those things. It's a rundown phrase in wrestling, but you kind of have to just sit and watch and wait to see what happens. You know, you can't just go off of your fantasy booking, and if your fantasy booking doesn't come true, it's the end of the world because WWE hates the fans and whatnot that we see on the internet. Yeah, we see it. I see it all the time on the internet. It's if your favorite is not winning or who you want to win is not winning, then obviously something is wrong. They're in the doghouse. The company doesn't like them. They're trying to bury them. And I don't know, maybe it's me that I've been watching wrestling since I was really, really small and I've never stopped. It's just it never bothered me. The last time a match bothered me was Royal Rumble 2013 when The Rock beat CM Punk for the championship. And that was the last time I said, this is bullshit. And that was the night I started in wrestling media because I was like, I need a place to vent my frustrations about why I think this was a bad idea. And I don't really have a place to do that. Let me start up a blog. And that's what started me into wrestling media. I think that was the last time that I was just like so frustrated with the match outcome. Now, like, I'm like, I really wanted this person to win, but they didn't win. I'm sure there's a bigger idea that we haven't seen coming because we're just fans. We don't work there. We don't know what their plan of operation is going to be.
It's funny how that works. It's just like, guys, you kind of sometimes just have to trust the process. I mean, granted, it's tough sometimes, believe me, especially if you're a fan of the not pop, like the mid card kind of people, or how even the lower cards. It's just like you pretty much just resign yourself to defeat 9 times out of 10. It's unfortunately just this is how it is, and I mean, not everybody can always love the popular wrestlers, and not everyone's gonna make it to be a popular wrestler. You're just always gonna be hit and miss when it comes to your favorites, and they're not gonna always win, and you kind of have to just enjoy it while it's happening. Like, for example, Rhea, there is gonna come a time, you would think, at some point, just like the law of average, that she's not gonna be the number one woman anymore. Like, that's just how it is. That's also just the nature of the business of wrestling, is that you might be hot this year, 2 years, 3 years, but then maybe 4 or 5, someone else is gonna come along and take your spot, and that's just how it is. It's gonna suck if you're a fan of, like, again, say Rhea, whenever she gets quote unquote replaced. But that's just how it is. You just kind of have to, again, just accept the fact that you're probably going to be more pissed off as a wrestling fan than you are happy. It's tough to say that. It's kind of sad. But again, if you're cheering for these people who are 9 times out of 10 never going to be in like the upper echelon of the card, and they're never going to be like the money makers and the stupid catchphrase, the needle movers, all the big name stars. It's just like you kind of have to resign yourself to the fact that 9 times out of 10 you're going to probably be more frustrated with the business than you are enjoying it. But it just if you can go in and accept that, it makes it a lot less painful to watch, and you can just enjoy it as much as you can. But again, I feel like some people just need that instant gratification, and not only do they need that instant gratification, they need it 24/7, and that's just unrealistic for anything in general. But
me personally, like, I've adopted the idea of not consuming other people's wrestling opinions, even if they would align with my own. I can't, especially because, like, with someone giving their opinions, it's just like, this is what I want. I want this. I want this. I want this. And if I don't get it, it's bad. It's bad. And I don't know. I've been watching wrestling too damn long to care about one particular person. Now, back to the match, Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. I was a little like on the fence, but I really see what you're saying as far as like planting the seeds that Randy Orton is slowly losing his mind? What if they did something where at Night of Champions, Randy Orton lost the match in a very kind of easy way for the way that he lost. He kind of collided with the exposed turnbuckle and then ended up getting hit with the crossroads 1 2 3. What if something like that similar happens where he goes to maybe go for a punt kick and he thinks twice about it, or he goes to use a weapon and he kind of hesitates again like he did before? Drew McIntyre comes out of nowhere, hits him with the Claymore, and there it is, you know.
Yeah.
I really like the idea that Randy Orton is slowly losing his mind.
He's up.
Yeah, because that ending to their match at Night of Champions between Cody and Randy's expressions as Cody was, celebrating his big win they were very telling. Very telling.
And they don't do that on purpose. They know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. But I too am going to have to go with Drew McIntyre winning this match, his comeback match off the injured reserve list. I hope he's 100% and they didn't rush him back.
I hope not.
Yeah, because I think what happened, it was so surprising to see him come back. It just felt like, man, they really felt like they needed Drew McIntyre back. So I really hope they didn't rush him, because last I heard he was having trouble with his neck. And his neck was what was nagging him, and we all know what's going on with neck injuries, especially like people like Randy Orton, who had to get his back and his neck worked. Kevin Owens needs neck surgery, so the neck seems to be plaguing a lot of wrestlers, and I hope that doesn't come back to bite Drew McIntyre in the ass, because he is a precious commodity for the WWE.
Yeah, they can't let him go by one way or another. It's just I hope it's worth it.
Yeah. But we both got Drew McIntyre to start off our predictions. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a predictions championship between Shay and myself. Shay has been holding on to the championship. She's been holding it hostage for 3-4 pay-per-views already. I need to get it back, so I'm hoping my predictions come true. This one is should be, I think, a little easier to kind of predict. Maybe, I don't know. I now thinking about it, now it's got my gears turning. Yeah, now it's got my gears turning, and I'm feeling like it's gonna end in a disqualification, because both these men are too hot right now. I'm talking about LA Knight and Seth Rollins. They're going to be battling it out on a Saturday night's main event. Kind of a match that's kind of thrown together, because Seth Rollins is technically on Monday Night Raw. LA Knight is technically on Friday Night SmackDown. So this is sort of like an interpromotional match, right? But I got to go with Seth on this one. He's just too hot right now as Mr. Money in the Bank. His group with Braun and the Oracle Paul Heyman is really taking off. And he just looks like king of the mountain right now. Seth Rollins does.
Yeah, it'd be pretty hard to bet against him at this rate. And obviously no knock on LA Knight, because he's doing great in his own right, but there's very few people that are on Seth Rollins' level right now. So I mean, it's pretty easy to go with him. And
right.
I also agree. I will be going with him as well.
Yeah, and this is kind of telling, because LA Knight is such a interesting. His situation is interesting, because he gets the loud crowd reactions, and they go crazy for him, and they say all of his catchphrases, but WWE never really lets him grab that brass ring, to give him that up. Do you believe in LA Knight as a world champion?
Damn.
It's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, because I feel like he's good in the ring, but he's not I'd say he's when it comes to talent in ring, he's upper mid card, but not main event.
Right. He's not on the level of a Rollins or a Reigns or a CM Punk or something like that.
Yeah, and I feel like what he makes up for in not as again, not it sounds terrible when you say it this way, but it's the truth. It's not as good of in-ring work as some of the other like main event stars,
Right.
but he definitely makes up for it on the mic. That's for
Hmm.
damn sure. So he can hold his own when it comes to the promos and the backstage segments and all that stuff. That's one thing. Yeah, it's just for some reason it might come down to the whole thing of timing. The timing's never right, which is a shame. I know a lot of people were pissed that he didn't win Money in the Bank because he could have. That could have been the moment, but I don't know. Maybe they just don't see him as a main event title holder right now, which I mean sucks. But again, when you're around the likes of Seth Rollins, it's kind of hard to top that or even equal that. So it's a shame. It sucks because LA Knight's good, but
Right.
he's not Seth Rollins.
Right. You can kind of, when you put it that way, when you put it like, is he on the level of a Rollins or Reigns or CM Punk or anything like that? You can kind of tell he's like a tick off. You
Yeah.
know, he's like right there, but he's not there yet.
Mm.
And it's kind of hard to tell, but this could be like a litmus test to see, can he hang with guys like Rollins and the bigger guys? Like maybe I don't know how this would happen, but like, would he be able to hang with like a Gunther or a Jey Uso or something like that? Guys who are on that top part of the card that are going because they're good on the mic and they're good in the ring. It's all working together, very synergy wise. Can this match prove that he has that in him is what I'm definitely looking at, but I'm definitely going to be predicting Seth Rollins to get the win. What about you? Who do you have for this match?
I'd also say Seth Rollins. You just like we said earlier, you can't bet against him right now. He's just too hot.
Yeah, he's just too high. I mean, he's closing out Monday Night Raws. All of his guys are having matches. He's having matches. He seems to be
Killing
moving.
people,
Yeah, yeah,
killing people.
yeah. And
Really.
he seems to be moving well. I know that was a big part of his story last year, you know, with like WrestleMania 40 and all. His leg was being held together by paper clips, you know, so
Yeah,
so
totally.
to see him kind of bounce back from those very debilitating injuries and kind of reminding us why he is Seth freaking Rollins is kind of cool to see. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, again, it's a what a difference a year can make when you give them some time. Because I'm still haunted by that little clip from WrestleMania 40 when Roman like hits him with the Superman punch and his leg just like flops to the wrong
Yeah.
side, and I'm like, ugh. It's
Yeah,
still,
legs shouldn't do that.
they shouldn't flop that unnaturally. So yeah, it's nice to think that he can actually walk on both legs. It's great.
Yeah. And again, like I said earlier, for some reason, there are only 3 matches advertised as of this recording for Saturday night's main event. So that takes us into the big World Heavyweight Championship match where Gunther will be defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Goldberg in what should be
Better.
Goldberg's last match. I mean, I think it's pretty easy to say Gunther is going to be winning this match. I think the semantics of the match is what people are looking forward to. How long this match is going to go. Is it going to go over the customary 3-minute Goldberg match, or, you know, are we going to get a barn burner? I don't know. This one's going to be very interesting. I know there are a lot of detractors for Goldberg. It's so weird. Like online, you know, it's all like, oh my God, why do we have to see Goldberg? When
Mhm.
Gunther cuts a promo on Gunther, he's getting loud cheers. But when
Yeah.
Goldberg comes out or he makes an appearance, it's like 1998 all over again. And like the
Yeah.
crowd's going crazy. So I am thoroughly confused as to what people want. I don't know.
They want that shot of nostalgia, I guess.
I
I feel like that's
guess.
the only thing that makes sense. Because, like you said, the same people that are cheering Gunther saying he's washed up and he's gonna demolish him is gonna be the same one that cheers when he shows up on Raw. And so it's just like, what do you pick a side, pick a lane, because
Yeah.
you can't have them both. Like, it's we
It's
don't even. We've talked about this before. We don't want this match to happen. This is stupid. This is
yeah.
unnecessary. Like,
I was just never big on Goldberg. I even as a kid, it was just like I mean he as a kid I was like, all right, he's cool, but like he's in WCW. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I was such
Mhm.
a WWE loyalist that I was like, all right, he's okay, but I mean, he's wrestling guys like Hugh Morris in
Yeah.
WCW.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like it's not really lighting the world on fire, you know? And I feel like
Yeah.
a lot of Goldberg's accolades, you look at it and you go, well, he was undefeated for like 100 something whatever matches. A lot of those matches looked like they were against guys that were like janitors and custodian
Yeah.
workers, didn't look like professional wrestlers, like really easy. And that's why he has this thing over him, is like, well, Gunther's like, well, I guess I have 3 minutes I can spare out of my life,
Well,
you know, to make this happen. And that's the running joke, is like after 3 minutes, Goldberg is a little gassed up. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. I'm going to be seeing how this match is going to operate. Is it going to be a sprint? Is Goldberg going to just hit all of his moves and then get gassed out? Is Gunther going to be dominant? There's a lot in terms of a story for this match. I'm just going with Gunther because, again, I don't really get the big deal about Goldberg in the first place.
yeah, I honestly should change what I said earlier. It's not the fact that we don't care for this match, we just don't like the fact that it's a title match, because
Yeah, yeah.
you're saying it's a title match, and then you turn right around in the same breath and say, "Oh, this is Goldberg's last match." So it's like, okay, cool. So you pretty much just telegraph the fact that he's not winning. Mainly also because common sense should tell you he shouldn't fucking win this match, like, at all. Like, he has no reason holding onto that belt for, like, no. I don't care that it's in Atlanta. I don't care that it's his home, like, homecoming, what the fuck ever. I don't care. Just, yeah, Gunther has to win this, because if not, I don't want to be anywhere near Twitter when it happens if he
Ugh,
loses, because my phone might combust.
ugh.
It just it might just blow up on contact whenever that happens, but it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's gonna be Gunther, and then God knows what else. But I feel like you almost want to do, what's the over under? Okay,
Yeah.
this isn't like a tiebreaker, because I feel like this one's just too easy, and we can go to something else if we need to. But the over under 5 minutes. How long do you think this match is gonna be?
I am going to say, shockingly, it's going to go over.
And it's sad because I said the same thing, because I just have a feeling they're gonna pull that, like, typical story of Gunther's gonna spend the first, like, 2.5, 3 minutes just kicking the shit out of Goldberg, and then Goldberg's gonna try and make his comeback, and just when you think he's actually gonna pull it off and win, then Gunther's gonna come back, and then he ends up winning. So it's just like they're not gonna do that in the span of like 3 minutes. They're gonna
Yeah.
drag it out more than they need to, but unfortunately, yeah, I think it'll also be over 5 minutes. But you know what? As long as Gunther wins, I don't care how long the match is.
You know, and it kind of plays up, and it helps Goldberg that Gunther is such a old school professional wrestler that likes to take his time and dissect his opponent in the ring. He's very, not necessarily slow, but very plodding. You know, he
Yeah.
doesn't rush into moves. He takes his time to dismantle his opponent, and that can kind of be a benefit for Goldberg, so that he could be able to catch his breath, not get
Mhm.
too overwhelmed in there. But again, I honestly see this as a throwaway match, with Gunther winning and retaining the World Heavyweight Championship.
Oh, there's a God. There's a God, but please.
Well, there it is for Saturday night's main event. Again, they only have, as of this recording, 3 matches advertised. We still have to get to Saturday or Friday night SmackDown, so there still can be some matches added to the show. We do not know, but that is Saturday night's main event. Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. We both have Drew McIntyre winning the match. LA Knight versus Seth Rollins. We both have Seth Rollins winning the match. And Gunther defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Goldberg. We both have Gunther retaining the World Heavyweight Championship. So there it is for Saturday night's main event. And moving on, we're going to keep it within the confines of WWE. They have a major PLE happening this weekend. It's Evolution, the second ever Evolution special, where it's an all women's wrestling card. And I got to say, for a show that has not been heavily promoted and kind of lackluster, done a lackluster job of promoting the show, the card looks really good.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I feel like When it came to the first Evolution, they definitely what again, whether they want to try to admit it or not, because the proof's in the pudding at this rate, where they set them up to fail. And thankfully they didn't. It was just I feel like the problem was with the first one was that no matter how great that show was, which it was a really good show.
Mm,
That was a fun pay-per-view. I still watch it back to this day. It still has one of my favorite matches of all time to this day. But it it would have had to literally over deliver in every single possible aspect imaginable for them to be like, well, I guess we're just gonna have to do it again because they probably looked at it and was like, well, it was good, but this went wrong and this also went wrong. So, maybe we shouldn't make this a regular thing. And that's why it took, oh, I don't know how many years to do this again. It took a whopping 7 years to do this. So you think they would have learned, and you think the buildup is not as, I'm not going to say not as terrible as the first one. It just seems like old habits die hard. And I don't think that they're setting them up to fail, but they're definitely just not caring as much as they should
mm,
because this is a big deal. It's not like clearly this happens all the time. This literally is the second all women's pay-per-view in 7 years. So this is a very elusive type of pay-per-view, and it's just a shame that instead of spending the time building up all of these matches, I mean, granted, we have 7 on the card. I mean, one we can't really like say too much of because it's battle royal, but it's like a good portion of these matches have had literally no build up whatsoever. Or
yeah.
if they did, it was just thrown together so quickly that it's just like, okay, well, I get that you needed a match for the card, but holy shit, like Tiffany Stratton and Trish, it's just like, okay, like they just wanted to put Trish on the show and they knew they had to put Tiffany on the show. She's one of your champions. So it's just like, okay, well, there's that. You had to put the women's, it was just more or less like, oh, we have to put these women on, so we'll just give them something.
Right,
I
right.
mean, at least the only thing that like saves, not even saves them, is just not as glaringly bad about these buildups is that some of these do have prior history. So it's not like, well, we just threw these two together just because we needed a match. Like, Jade and Naomi clearly have history, and that match is going to be fucking wild. Becky, Bailey, and Lyra clearly have history, and I keep saying that should be the main event because that's the most compelling story, I think, personally. Um, Io and Rhea have had plenty of history going all the way back to NXT, so it's like it's fine. And I mean, even with JC Jane and Jordan Grace, you at least have something, but
Right.
it's just like put a little more effort in. That's all I'm asking. Like, please. But I don't think it's going to happen, but either way, I still think it's going to be a good show because the women always know how to rise to the occasion. So, and I think you'd be kind of naive to think that they hear what people are saying online. They hear all of this stuff.
Right.
And for all we know, they might believe what some of the people are saying online. So maybe that's the fuel of like, okay, well, they don't think this is worthy of this pay-per-view being a regular occurrence. Let's show them why it should be. Because that's all the women have been able to do, unfortunately, for years in WWE is, well, we're going to rise to the occasion and essentially shove it in your face that we belong here. We deserve to have these moments. We deserve to have this platform. And I know the women are going to do just that
Yeah.
because they can't not. I mean, it's just how they're built. They're not going to not go out there and half-ass it. They're going to give it 110%.
For sure, for sure. And I'm really actually looking forward to this show just as much as I am all the other shows that are happening this weekend. There's a lot of good stuff on this card that I am actively looking forward to, especially that triple threat between Becky, Lyra, and Bailey. That is going to be phenomenal. Io Sky and Rhea Ripley are two pros that can definitely get it done. This card looks pretty good, so why don't we get into it? Starting off, JC Jane, the NXT Women's Champion, kind of out of nowhere, almost out of nowhere, defeating Stephanie Vaquer and taking the NXT Women's Championship. But this time she has to go up against the juggernaut Jordan Grace, who I feel is poised to take another women's division over. She did it in TNA. She put the women's division on her back and carried it on to prominence. And I feel like she's going to be able to do that now for NXT. And be a household name in NXT for the women's division, a division that I think is the best women's division in all of professional wrestling.
Yeah, it's hard to look at that roster on paper and not argue that it is one of the best, if not, like you said, the best. I think this is going to be a pretty good match, honestly. I think a lot of people don't give JC Jane enough credit. Like,
Hmm.
it's kind of like, you kind of go back to the conversation we had about LA Knight, where it's like, she's solid, but it's never been like, oh, you're absolutely a main event star. It's like,
Right.
you're good, like, you're good, but you're not on the level of, say, like you said, Jordan Grace, of Stephanie Vaquer, Julia. It's kind of also very tough when you're surrounded by women like that, where you're like, oh shit, like,
Yeah, and it doesn't end because you figure they brought in Stephanie Vaquer, they brought in
yeah,
Julia, and then all of a sudden they bring back in Jordan Grace permanently, and she's a member of the NXT roster. And now they bring in Blake Monroe, who's another
yeah,
high profile that when they see her wrestle, she's probably going to be pushed up to the top of the women's card as well. So it's
mhm,
like you said, it's to be a champion for this division, and what this division has gone through
yeah,
is a very big, tall task. And no matter what they say about how shocking it was that JC Jane ended up winning, maybe she's a transitional champion or anything like that, they can't take away the fact that she's the champion of the most physical women's dominant divisions in all of professional wrestling.
yeah. It and it's kind of tough because it's like you say that, and then you turn around and you're like, well, does that mean Jordan Grace is winning the belt at Evolution?
Right.
And I don't know. I feel like it's a little tough because I feel like I think it's also just like from what we've seen in AEW and stuff like that, the fact that they're trying to make I'm gonna just keep saying Mariah because it's just easier for me than trying to say Blake. It still hasn't stuck with me. To see Mariah be like the good guy, I'm like, hmm. We
Something's a little fishy, huh?
yeah, I'm like we've seen this a couple times before. I love her to death, but we know what she's capable of. So could she possibly cost Jordan the match at Evolution? Maybe, especially if she comes out to like be like the well, because obviously JC Jane's gonna have Fallon Henley and Jasmine Nix probably at ringside, so maybe, Mariah would be like, "Well, you kinda need some backup out there, Jordan. I can come out and help you, don't worry about it," and these things happen because why wouldn't they? Because imagine okay, I'll try to say it, a Blake Monroe and Jordan Grace, like, feud, could you just imagine? That doesn't need a title at
I
all.
think that's what they're headed. I've read, I came across something that said there's a possibility they're looking to maybe turn Blake Monroe and something, and I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. She really hasn't had a feud or any a program built up yet, and they're already talking about turning her. But then when you think about the way they're setting it up, where she's kind of buddy buddy with Jordan Grace, and if you know Blake Monroe when she was Mariah May, you're kind of like, I don't like this. I've been down
Yeah.
this road before with this
Uh-huh,
lady. You know,
uh-huh,
I've seen what she can do, and I think the way I see it happening is I'm going with Jordan Grace winning,
oh,
right?
alright.
And then Blake Monroe coming out and thinking it's a celebratory move for her and her new friend Jordan Grace when she takes out Jordan Grace and makes it known that she's coming for her next, and she's coming for the NXT Women's Championship. I don't know about you.
I see, that makes sense, but I can also see her costing Jordan the title and then being like, "Did you really think I was gonna let you take my spot before I ever got the chance to have it?" You know what I
Right,
mean? Kinda
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Did you really think I was gonna let you jump the line? Now the line starts behind me." So I could see Blake totally doing that. So I feel like that might be more what they're going towards possibly because I mean they've
Mm.
kind of had some, a little bit of beef with Blake and JC already. So I mean it really wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility to eventually do a triple threat perhaps, but yeah, I could it's Blake Monroe. Like we know that she's never one to share the spotlight with somebody, so I
That's
feel like
true.
she's not gonna take too kindly to someone getting a shot before her. So
Right. And
I think she'll cost Jordan the match and then be like, Yeah, did you really think I was going to let you win that title, please?
It's so funny because I'm sure AEW fans who are fans of NXT are probably thinking the same. Like, I don't trust this. I've seen this
Mhm.
before. And then NXT fans who don't pay attention to AEW, don't know what's been going on there, have
Nope.
no idea this this is a possibility that it can go down this way. So they're
Uh,
gonna get their socks blown off when if it happens. They're gonna be so blindsided, and you're gonna
yeah.
realize like this woman Blake Monroe is a world-class actress. She can
Yeah.
definitely take you and wrap you around her finger and have you go on this ride with her where you think, oh, she's so nice and she's so wonderful. But deep down inside, there is a devious nature about Blake Monroe. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, uh-huh.
I still think the money match is Jordan Grace and Blake Monroe. So I think Jordan Grace is going to win, defeat JC Jane for the NXT Women's Championship, and then start the program with Blake. I don't know about you. What do you got, JC Jane or Jordan Grace? Final answer.
I got JC Jane. I think Blake's going to cost her the title, and it's going to pull the whole. I wasn't going to let you win the title before me. That's my shot first,
I
kind of thing.
like it. I like it. I'd be happy either way. I'd be happy
Yeah.
either way. Either
See,
way.
so we might not need the tiebreaker. That might be the
Yeah,
tiebreaker in that match.
we might not need it. You never know. But
Mhm.
next up, we
See.
got this is a good one that I'm really looking forward to as well. It is Jade Cargill taking on her nemesis Naomi in a no holds barred match.
Ooh, it's gonna be wild. This is gonna
That
be.
means they're gonna
Ooh,
get a little crazy. Now, I think this is a brilliant idea to make it a no holds barred match because it can get rough around the edges. It doesn't
yeah.
have to necessarily be perfect. And I feel like when there's a Jade Cargill match, she's under a microscope and people are just looking for a reason to discredit all the hard work that she's put in. So this making it a no holds barred match where you can use weapons, there are no rules, anything goes. It can get crazy, and when it gets crazy, it gets a little rough around the edges, and it's not all perfect and cookie cutter, which I think is very smart on their part to do.
Yeah, especially well, and as unfortunately as we saw at Night of Champions, there are moments where Jade is not the most fluid and
Right,
most, graceful in the
right.
ring. So this helps her perfectly because, like you said, yeah, you don't have to be perfect in these matches because that's not what a no holds barred match is for. It's not for a 10 out of 10, match of the year classic. They don't
Right.
want like chain wrestling and no holds barred matches. They want violence and they want just carnage. And I
Yeah.
feel like these two, as we saw, had great chemistry in their match before. So throw the rule book out the window. Can you fucking imagine what they're gonna do now? Like it's gonna be wild.
Yeah, and it's wonderful because it feels like Naomi's finally found something where she can be a different extension of herself. She doesn't
Yeah,
have to be Naomi Glow dancing, making everybody happy. She could play
yeah,
a character that's evil in nature,
unhinged.
devious, unhinged. She's
Yeah,
definitely unhinged. She is some of I go back to what she told Bianca Belair, how she broke into her house and just
yeah.
started rummaging through all of her stuff. And I'm like, who says that? Like, who willingly admits, like, yeah, I broke into your house and was just looking at your stuff, you
Well, I mean,
know?
it's the same person that puts razor blades in their hair
Right, right. And I
and
think,
cuts
like,
themselves with that razor blade.
and
Like,
then the cool thing about this is, like, never before did we think Naomi necessarily had it in her, and now I personally am looking at this and going, well, she's so good at what she's doing and being that unhinged person that you really have to give her the win. And
oh yeah,
she's missed money in the bank.
yeah. Like she needs to get it. And the thing is, too, Jade beat her the last time.
True,
Should she
true.
have? Probably not. I mean, that's debatable. I mean, you can probably will get five different answers if you ask five different people, but I feel like you got to give it. Like, I agree. You have to give this one to Naomi because, granted, in a way, wrestling wise, that this match might benefit Jade more because she doesn't have to, hide behind perfection and flawless moves and whatever. This is right up Naomi's wheelhouse, especially this version of Naomi. she can do whatever the hell she wants. I mean, granted, yes, Jade can do the same, but I don't think she has that level of insanity that Naomi does. And Naomi's, I would think, is going to be willing to do things, horrific things that I don't think Jade's going to have the guts to do. At least not right now. I'm sure that's what growth is for. But for this version of their feud, or this like chapter of their feud, you got to give it to Naomi. Like,
Yeah.
this match is just too chaotic for someone like her not to win.
Yeah.
Like, she has to win.
Totally. So we both got Naomi booked to win the no holds barred match against Jade Cargill. There's also going to be a battle royal happening. We don't know the participants. We only know a few participants. Nikki Bella is in it. Stephanie Vaquera is in it. I feel like there's one more name that I'm missing that I can't remember that they had announced for the battle royal. But there is a caveat for this. The winner of this battle royal, do they get a title opportunity, correct?
Yeah, I believe a Clash of Paris.
Clash of Paris, that's right, at the end of August. So there are high implications for this match. This is not technically going towards our predictions, but do you have a front runner in mind? Who do you think is going to win?
Well, actually, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I also just saw on Wikipedia that so far we have Ivy Nile, Stephanie Vaquer, Nia Jax, Nikki Bella, Natalya, and Maxine Dupree. So
Right.
I feel out of those 6, there's only one correct answer here, and that's Stephanie Vaquer. Like,
Yeah.
you have to, because here's the thing. If she wins, which I think there's a pretty good chance, obviously we said this isn't going to go towards our like total, because this could just has so many different possibilities that there's just no way we could actually fully narrow it down to someone concrete. I think Stephanie, though, because can you imagine? She's on Raw. So whoever wins out of Io and Rhea gets to face Stephanie Vaquer at Clash of Paris. So let's be honest, what's the more compelling match? Like, the potential of one of those two matches happening.
Right.
Because let's be honest, it's shit not going to be Ivy Nile. It's not going to be Natalya. It's not going to be Maxine Dupree. So the only other two you have are Nikki Bella, which, whatever. I mean, I don't even think, is she even on a like brand right now? I don't even think she's on Raw or SmackDown. So,
no, they didn't brand specific her.
So who knows with that? And the only other option is Nia Jax. Do we really want the 5th match between her and Tiffany Stratton? Because God knows I don't.
Right.
So,
right.
At least as it stands right now, I think you'd have to give it to Stephanie, because just the potential of her wrestling Io Sky or Rhea Ripley at Clash in Paris is too good to pass up.
Right. And I honestly think Stephanie Vaquer is on a trajectory where she could be as big of a star on the roster as Rhea Ripley, or any woman that you think is the top, like Rhea Ripley, Charlotte, Bianca, all those names. Stephanie can definitely be on that level. She can do it in the ring. She's got a look where she comes on the screen and it's just like, look at her. The same way we say about Rhea Ripley, when Rhea Ripley comes on the screen, it's like, look at her. Say the same thing about Stephanie Vaquer. She just has that sort of thing that just draws you in, and you're like, who is she? What is she doing? And like she had like, thank God for Booker T, because Booker T got one of the simplest moves over with just a sound effect, and now the crowd does it, and it's kind of like a thing now, and it's a thing to look forward to. She's gonna be a big star, so I'm definitely seeing Stephanie Vaquer. It's gonna be interesting. It's a battle royal over the top, so you never know what's gonna happen. We only know a couple of the names in it, so it's definitely gonna be something to look forward to.
It'd be interesting, that's for sure.
Yes, definitely. And another interesting match is a fatal 4-way for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. The current champions, Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez of the Judgment Day, will be defending the titles against Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, the Kabuki Warriors, and NXT's Sol Ruka and Zarya.
We called it before we even get into the match.
We did. And I ended up said that. I was like, we predicted that on on the podcast, especially when they reunited the Kabuki Warriors. I was like, we said that was going to happen on the podcast, and there wasn't really any evidence that it was going to happen. No seeds were planted or anything like that. We just felt like Kabuki Warriors just made the perfect sense, and we got to see them reunite on Raw and dance out to the. I like how they mime their entrance theme.
Yeah,
like they're so attached to their entrance theme that they mime it backstage when they're leaving the shot. I think it's great. I'm really looking forward to this match. As far as a prediction, I think the champs are going to retain. I think there's a lot of meat on that bone for a story between the Judgment Day. I mean, Raquel's still a little iffy about Roxanne. All the guys are like, oh yeah, Roxanne's great. Roxanne can stay. Judgment Day for life. And Raquel's still a little on the fence about it. But
I mean, do you blame her?
No, I definitely
Roxanne
don't.
made a eulogy, like a funeral pyre.
Yeah.
Like a little shrine, but
right. But I think that's the story that they're gonna tell is like eventually Raquel is gonna, Roxanne is gonna win Raquel over, and right when everything is copacetic, Liv is gonna come back and just gonna say, you're gonna let this girl take my title, and all of a sudden she's your partner now, and that's how it's gonna go. It might be a little struggle for the love of Raquel Rodriguez when Liv comes back. I kind of like that.
Yeah, I feel like that one's a little easier than they lose the titles already, and Raquel could just like, see, I told you she wasn't worth it, because it's just like, okay, well, there's really no payoff because you're not going to have that happen and then have to wait 6 to 8 months for Liv to come back to be like, yeah, I told you so. She was trash, guys. I tried saying that, but yeah, I feel like it would make more sense to have Raquel warm up to Roxanne, and maybe Roxanne's the one that takes or like that pins whoever to like win or retain the titles, and Raquel has to pretty much eat crow and be like, oh yeah, you know what, I didn't really have it in, think you had it in you, but you did, so I'll give you your props. So yeah, I think Judgment Day is gonna hold on to those titles, but I just still feel so vindicated about the fact that Zarya and Sol Ruka are in this match, because that is literally, I think I'm trying to remember. I feel like that was a question we had of
it was basically who are going to be the other teams to round out the Fatal 4-Way, and our predictions were Kabuki Warriors, which was a big thing because there was no seeds planted that they would get back together, and Sol Ruka and Zarya from NXT. We both had that predicted on the show. I'm really excited because technically this is one of those things that it's kind of like a main roster PLE, but the crowd, maybe if they don't pay attention to NXT, are going to get their first look at Sol Ruka, which I think Sol Ruka in a year's time is going to be another big signing and acquisition. She's going to change the game because she is highly innovative in the ring. She really wows you. She has a great look to her, and the fact that she doesn't come from a wrestling background and she's taking the wrestling so well is definitely a story to tell. So I'm really excited for anybody that's getting a first chance to see Sol Ruka and Zarya, because Zarya is pretty cool in her own right too.
She has a cool look.
Yeah, she definitely has a really, really cool look to her. So this is going to be a great match. I'm really looking forward to this match. I'm also looking forward to the dynamic between Charlotte and Alexa. We saw them working together well on SmackDown. Can they keep that momentum up and work well together as a tag team? If I'm going with Raquel and Roxanne to retain, but if there was going to be a title change, I would think that they would put it on Charlotte and Alexa just to see the chaos of them having to work together as a team, and they're not accustomed to being a tag team.
Yeah, I would agree with that one for sure. I'll still definitely go with Raquel and Roxanne, but if I had to choose somebody else out of the three teams, I would definitely pick Charlotte and Alexa, just to see the interesting dynamic between those two, because like you said, over the last few weeks or so, we've definitely seen some interesting interactions between the two for sure. So we'll see if they can keep that up in this match, or if they just completely disintegrate in the middle, because they could, or they could be a solid team. Who knows? Either one could happen. But yeah, that's interesting. I'm going to be obviously interested to see the Kabuki Warriors, because you know how good they are. I mean, Sol Ruka and Zarya is just going to be the fun little wild card team, because all the fans need to see is just Soul hit one Soul Snatcher and they'll be hooked. Like, it doesn't take much.
Yeah,
It doesn't
yeah,
take much of her. She's just that good.
yeah,
And again, Zarya is just a powerhouse, so they play off of each other quite well. So I am glad that we were correct in that predictions. I little bummed we didn't get, Piper and Alba. That kind of sucked a little bit, just the comedy, but I don't think we had to complain too much. We got a pretty good, solid group of teams here.
for sure, for sure. Now this next match, I think is pretty easy to predict. Not that there's much time that needs to be spent on it. It's Tiffany Stratton defending the WWE Women's Championship against the legend, the Hall of Famer Trish Stratus. It's pretty easy. For me, I'm going with Tiffany Stratton, obviously, because she's there. I don't think I haven't heard anything where Trish was looking to get back into the game on a full-time basis. So again, this is
nostalgia trip.
Yeah, this is basically to sell nostalgia tickets, which is kind of interesting that out of all the matches, I really hope the Battle Royal has a little bit more nostalgia in it besides Nikki Bella, because
I hope so.
because this is supposed to be a deal where they kind of celebrate women's wrestling as a whole, and there's a lot of people out there that can definitely use the spotlight on them. People like Mickey James, Victoria. Melina, Brie Bella too, for sure. There's a lot of women out there that have definitely laid claim to helping build the foundation of women's wrestling and getting it to where it is now. Unfortunately, I just don't. Again, Trish Stratus is not planned to be there full time, so I feel like you said, this is just a nostalgia match.
Yeah, it's just to show everyone that Trish still got it. It's just this was like a hypothetical dream match, apparently, I guess. It's like, maybe 15, 20 years ago would have been a dream match. It's just that's just not it now. But I mean, again, Trish is still no slouch in the ring. She can still go. It's just, it'll be fun. It'll be a fun little match. Obviously, I'm not really going into it expecting a 5-star classic. It's just, you get to see Trish back. That's great. And there's no reason Tiffany should lose this match, because if she does, I'll be very confused.
Definitely, for sure. So we both have Tiffany Stratton retaining the WWE Women's Championship against the legend Hall of Famer Trish Stratus. I'm just hoping for a good match. I just want there to be a good, solid match, no hiccups, no good chemistry, and that's all we can really hope for.
Yeah, I just hope everyone has fun.
Yeah, exactly. Now, this is probably the match I'm looking forward to the most. It's my match of the evening so far on paper, and it's Becky Lynch defending the Women's Intercontinental Championship in a triple threat against the former champion Lyra Valkyria and Bayley. Now, this is 3 of the top women's wrestlers in all of WWE. Shout out to Lyra Valkyria for, now she's opened so many eyes, and I haven't seen one thing outside of Lyra Valkyria is ridiculously good in the ring. I haven't seen one opinion outside of that. So she's definitely staked her claim to be one of the top, to belong in the same conversation as a Rhea Ripley, as a Stephanie Vaquer, as an Io Sky. And she's one of my favorite women's wrestlers right now. As far as her winning, I really don't know. I want to hear, who do you think is going to win, because maybe you can sway my thought process, because I think it's going to come down to either Becky or Lyra, but I really can't tell.
I feel like they've obviously they've been doing this for the last few weeks, which I also agree. I do feel like this is going to be my match of the night. And again, I still feel like it should main event, but we'll see if that actually comes to fruition or not. I feel like Becky's going to retain, because Lyra and Bayley have been at each other's throats for the last however many weeks, and they're just not going to be able to get out of each other's way. And it's finally just going to get to a point where they just get into an all-out brawl with each other, and Becky's just going to kind of slink in and take them both out, or take one of them out and then pin the other one. Kind of like the chicken shit heel kind of thing.
Right, yeah.
And
she's so good at that too.
Oh yeah, it's I love Becky. It's just she makes it very easy to just like not hate her sometime. I mean, maybe some people still hate her, but I'm just like I just sit there and go, I see what you did there, you son of a bitch. I know what you it's too slick, whatever. But yeah, I feel like then that just gets her more heat because then oh well maybe Lyra deserved it or oh Bailey sure deserved it and there she goes just swooping in opportunistic and taking the title and just taking it home for another day. So it's like I could fully see that happening where like they kind of work together to take out Becky because they realize like she's public enemy number one, but then inevitably those two aren't going to be able to like not put hands on each other
Right.
because they've just been really pissy with each other lately, understandably. But yeah, I feel like they're going to be so caught up with fighting each other that Becky's going to swoop in and retain her title.
I like it. I like it. I think again, this is the difference with what we do, you and I, compared to everybody else. I feel like everybody else tries to over fantasy book.
Yeah.
Like let me instead of predicting who I think is gonna win, let me fantasy book this and try to make this like the greatest
Makes sense.
wrestling match of all time in my fantasy
Yeah.
booking mind. Where really, honestly, you just need logical thinking. Logical thinking, and like you said, Lyra and Bailey have been at each other's throats for the past couple weeks, but they both still realize that Becky is public enemy number one, and Becky is going to use that to her advantage. She's going to try to stir the shit between the two of them, and then sit back and watch the chaos unfold. I feel like.
Yeah, like she'll be like, "Oh, you remember what she said about you a couple weeks
Yeah,
ago? Oh, you didn't really like that, did you?" And then she's gonna sit there and like eat popcorn or something,
yeah,
like
she's the instigator for sure.
the master manipulator.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So we both got Becky winning the match, retaining the Women's Intercontinental Championship. And then that brings us to our last match for the Evolution card. It is WWE Women's World Champion Io Sky defending the title against Rhea Ripley. These two have monster chemistry with each other. Takes me back to that match on Monday Night Raw where Io beat Rhea for the title and kind of shocked the world. That showed me that these two women can really, really go in the ring with each other. So I'm really looking forward to this match. I selfishly am going to predict with my heart and say Io Sky retains the
Ooh.
women's championship. Although the scary part is Rhea Ripley has never beaten Io Sky. So does Rhea have Io's number?
Yeah, that's the fun thing, isn't it? And it kind of alluded to that a little bit, where it's like, you know, Rhea, you're good, but are you really that good? Because you haven't
Yeah,
beaten me yet. So, I
right.
mean,
That's the story right there in itself. You want to look for a story and why this match is happening? It's right there. Throughout the years, dating all the way back to what, like 2021, 2022, Io Sky has consistently beat Rhea Ripley, who's consistently been the top women's performer in the division. She just can't beat Io Sky.
yeah.
So can Io Sky keep that up? That's why I said I'm betting with this one with my heart, because my head would say she hasn't beaten her in like 3-4 matches. This is the one she's gonna do it. But I'm just Io Sky's just too good, and like her popularity is really starting to climb with the crowd too.
Yeah, I feel like they may kind of see. I don't think we're going to be needing the tiebreaker. I think we have a couple difference already. I think Rhea's going to take that title back. I think she is. Maybe it's selfish on my end because of my love for Rhea, but I also feel like they can kind of do a reverse of what happened when Rhea had the title,
Mm,
where I mean, granted, the situations were a little different. Rhea, out of the goodness of her heart, gave her that title match and bit her in the ass because she wasn't focused enough. This time around, if Rhea wins this, number one, she gets the devil off her back of like, well, now I can say I finally beaten Io, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. But if Io gets mad, all Rhea has to do is look at her and say, "You picked me.
yeah,
I didn't choose this, you did, so you really have no one to blame but yourself." And I think that'd be rather interesting because it's so much a good guy thing to say. It's not so much really a bad guy thing to say. It's just the truth. Where it's like, you got a little cocky. You thought, oh well, I've always beaten her. She's never beaten me. What's another time to do? I want Rhea because I know I can beat her. And then what happens the one time you don't? You lose your
Yeah.
title.
Yeah. So we're both on opposite ends here. I am
Mhm.
going to predict Io Sky retaining her title, but you are predicting a new champion in Rhea Ripley.
I think this is the first time we've picked more than one different match. I think
Yeah.
usually it's always just one. This is
Yeah.
weird.
I mean, the thing is, there's so many matches that we have
Yeah.
to cover. We still have another show, an entirely
Oh,
other show
so
to
tired. I'm so
cover.
tired.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
let's really quickly for Evolution, JC Jane versus Jordan Grace. Shay says JC Jane is going to retain the NXT Women's Championship, while I say Jordan Grace is going to take it from her. And then we have Jade Cargill versus Naomi in a no holds barred match. We both say Naomi is going to be winning that no holds barred match. And for the fatal four way for the women's tag team championships, we both have Raquel and Roxanne from the Judgment Day retaining their titles. We also have Tiffany Stratton retaining her WWE championship against the legend Trish Stratus. We both have Becky Lynch retaining the Women's Intercontinental Championship. And a difference of opinion here, I have Io Sky retaining the title against Rhea Ripley, while you have Rhea Ripley becoming the new WWE Women's Champion. So, Evolution,
And
honestly, this might sound a little crazy, but like my anticipation for Evolution is probably neck and neck with AEW All In, which is the creme de la creme of the wrestling weekend.
yeah.
That's the biggest show out of all of them that we're covering. But I gotta say, my excitement level is kind of the same. Very excited for All In, but I'm also very excited for Evolution, a show that they barely promoted.
Yeah, it's just sad how that works sometimes, but I guess it's just maybe where evolution maybe lacks in like the spectacle and grandeur of All In Texas, maybe it makes up for in potential. Maybe that's why we're so interested because it's just
Mm,
like we know it has the potential of being a good show. It's just shitty that it's been treated like this, but I think it's just we see the like level of like talent on this card, and yeah, even though it's pretty much all been thrown together within the last 2 weeks, you can still be like, this is still a really good card though if they can do it right. So I feel like where, like I said, where AEW at least has like plenty of story matches where you're like, okay, the build-ups on these have been going on for God's sake, with some it's been a year at this point, so it makes more sense. But at least I think it's just more or less the potential for evolution for it to be good. That's I think why we're excited about it. AEW, it's like they have really given us no choice for the stories and the matches we have on this card. It's like you kind of can't not be excited, and if you're
right,
not excited about it, then I think you're just kind of being edgy and being
right.
like, well, I mean, it's not that good. It's like,
Yeah.
no, it is, but go ahead and hate. But yeah, this card and these matches are just wild. I mean,
Yeah.
granted, we only have 8, which is more than enough, but we know how Tony Khan loves to, double digit matches, and
Yeah.
I'm begging them not because
Yeah.
they
Well,
can't take the support.
luckily, the show is starting at 3 p.m. on the East Coast in the afternoon. So, I mean, hopefully it's not a long show, but like at least it's starting in the afternoon. So, like, if it goes about 4 hours, it'll be about 7 o'clock. So we still kind of decompose ourselves. It's not like the other AEW pay-per-views that finish. Now they're starting to finish after midnight, and it's like, fuck, man. Like, come on, Tony Khan. Like you said, so far there are only 8 matches that are advertised for the card. I'm sure, being that Dynamite, we still have a Dynamite episode to get through. There might be another 1 or 2 matches added, but these are the matches that are advertised for the show, including a Casino Gauntlet Battle Royal for the men and the women. And I believe the winners of the Casino Gauntlet Battle Royals also get title opportunities at a later date.
Yeah.
So that's going to be very interesting to see, because MJF's in the gauntlet. They haven't really announced too many names. I know MJF, Mark Briscoe, and I think one other name in there. But again, I'm always a fan of these gauntlet battle royals and the chaos that they bring.
Yeah, this one's a little, like we kind of were saying earlier, it's a little harder to pick this one, especially because, like you said, there's only 3 on the men's. There's Briscoe, MJF, and Mystico, and then for the women, you have Stat. And that's it. Which I'm like,
Stats winning.
I honestly, I can genuinely see that happening as long as, well, I can see it happening if a certain other match has a certain outcome, but we'll talk about that later. But I
Ooh.
feel like, do I want the match to end the way I think it's going to? No, but I feel like it could set up something bigger down the line, but we'll get to that one later. But even though Stat is the only one in the match right now, I still think she has a pretty good chance of winning just because it's Stat. They need to give her something. Like, please give her something. I'm begging you.
I agree, but might as well get into it. One thing I want to note that surprises me so much about AEW All In is that as I think it was, when was it? Today's Tuesday. I want to say yesterday we were talking about AEW All In, and we were talking about it on stream, and ticket sales were brought up. They have sold less than 21,000 tickets for this show. And here I am thinking they're going to pack it with like 40, 50,000, and they haven't sold nearly that many for this show. So what is the setup going to be for AEW All In, and how is it going to look aesthetically on TV? You see this big arena and everything like that, but then there's going to be some empty sections, and we all know how the internet loves their empty sections talk.
Yeah, clearly AEW is not seeing it that way because they're like, this is the first US show that AEW has done that's made over, like, what is it, like $2 million or something? I don't remember what the actual number is, but it's a big number. But it's kind of interesting to me that we're kind of like being a little picky and choosing what we're talking about, because we're not talking about the attendance numbers, we're talking about the money.
Right.
And it's just like, okay, but usually those go hand in hand, so why are you only talking about the money? And then when you say that they're only doing less than 21,000, it's kind of like, ugh. Like,
Right. It says, I'm looking
yeah,
at it.
well, if you gouge the ticket prices, of course you're going to make more money. It doesn't matter if it's 21,000 or not. If you're going to charge $500 for tickets, of course you're going to make millions of dollars. And this is the highest grossing, like, US show you've ever done. It's just like, yeah, no shit, because price gouging's a thing. So it's really not hard to understand how economics work. But
Right.
go ahead.
Right. No, I was just as of a half an hour ago, WrestleTix, which is an account on Twitter that monitors ticket sales for AEW and WWE, they have it listed as the current setup for the show is 24,347 tickets, and they've distributed 21,557. But the venue holds 42,234. So why are they selling themselves so short? Why wouldn't they try to go for like 30 or 35, maybe even 40,000? Why are they like, because there's only a little less than 3,000 tickets available, and the current setup was for 24,000 seats. So I'm just wondering, why book a venue like the Texas Rangers Stadium, Globe Life Field, but only fill it half capacity?
Maybe they're trying to be, I don't know, modest, where it's like, oh, well, if we can do this the first time, then maybe we can make it bigger the next time. Maybe not.
But for
Maybe
that,
they don't want to, I don't know, maybe they don't want to go too, like, over ambitious because it can bite you in the ass rather quickly. So I feel
maybe.
like
But
maybe
for
they'd
that,
rather,
I would have maybe like booked like a Madison Square Garden or something. You
yeah,
know?
not a big ass stadium like that one.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I feel like, again, maybe this was like a test run for them, and if they know that they can get a certain amount, then, like, we'll just push it every year. We're like, well, if we did 21,000 this year, we'll try 25 next year. If they get
Yeah,
25, then
maybe.
we'll try 30. And it's just like, I don't know. I mean, it's very
Maybe.
hard to predict what they're thinking in there because their decisions on a lot of things make you scratch your head. So it's like, God only knows what they're talking about in there, but
Yeah.
too
All right.
early to say.
All right, so let's get into the card. There, like you said, there's so far advertised 8 matches, including 2 battle royals, casino gauntlet. But we're going to talk about the matches that are advertised, starting off with the Hurt Syndicate defending the AEW Tag Team Championships against Jet Speed and the Patriarchy, Nick Wayne and Christian Cage. Jet Speed is Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey, but it doesn't matter because I don't see anybody taking these belts off the Hurt Syndicate. I think this is a telling sign for the AEW tag team division. There are no tag teams on the level of the Hurt Syndicate.
Not right now. Like, not even close.
Not even close.
Now it's again, just when you look at Jet Speed and you look at the Patriarchy and you're like, this is what we got, but it's just like it's not even like a knock on them. It's just that's what they've got because there's nobody else. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, I don't know. I feel like, yeah, I agree. The Hurt Syndicate, they're not gonna lose. The
They're
Hurt
not.
Syndicate's not gonna lose these titles. Like, if they did, I'd be shocked and
Yeah,
surprised.
yeah.
But
I definitely would be shocked and surprised if the Hurt Syndicate lose. I mean, they're a hot act. They're a fun act to watch. I enjoy watching the Hurt Syndicate. I even enjoy watching the Hurt Syndicate with a little bit of MJF in it.
why not?
But it's glaringly obvious that they're just beating the shit out of their prospective opponents in the tag team division.
Yeah, I agree. It's just it's kind of a double-edged sword because it's just like, yeah, the Hurt Syndicate's that good, but that also shows you that the tag division's slightly lacking, just a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So we both are going with the Hurt Syndicate to retain the AEW Tag Team Championships. Now, here's one that's going to be very interesting: Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay teaming up to take on the Young Bucks. Now, there are some stipulations for this match. If Swerve Strickland and Ospreay are able to defeat the Young Bucks must relinquish their EVP title for AEW. They can no longer be EVPs for AEW. If the Young Bucks win, Swerve and Ospreay cannot challenge for the world title for up to a full year. So a lot of chips stacked into this match, and it can go either way. This is tough. I want to hear your reasoning first and see if maybe again you can sway my thinking.
Oh God. I will say that AEW does love their stipulations
Yeah, they
because
do. Yeah, they do.
they really do love these. Like, if if this team wins, then this has to happen, or if they lose, then this has to happen, and it's maybe kind of bordering on a crutch a little bit now because it's just like that's how we apparently are gonna up the drama is we have to put a stipulation in of some sort. It's tough because you can kind of see how they could play out either way. Um, I feel like if you have Osprey and Swerve lose, yeah, that's dramatic, and I'm sure you could have them do other things, but why would you literally pigeonhole your two biggest stars from not going for the title for a whole year? Because it's
Right,
just like you're pretty much handcuffing yourself creatively, especially
right,
with Osprey. Like Swerve's had his moment before. He could probably have another one. I wouldn't be surprised. But it's just like everybody kind of thought that it was going to be Osprey challenging Moxley for the title at All In anyway. So the fact that you would go so far as to limit yourself creatively by not having him try and vie for the title at some point in the next year is kind of baffling to me. I feel like you could do a lot more with the Young Bucks losing and having to get stripped of the EVP titles because I think in a way that is more benefiting creatively than having Swerve and Osprey lose because with the Young Bucks, you could have them week in and week out come in and they try to do stuff and you can just have the locker room look at them every time and just laugh at them and be like, Yeah, okay, guys, you don't even have titles anymore. You can't tell us what to do and just completely like blow them off and they become like a laughing stock essentially.
Mm,
I feel like there's more legs with that than okay, well, we can't challenge for a title for a year. It's like, okay, well then what are you gonna do with them in the meantime? And
yeah.
then what are you gonna do with the title in the meantime? Because I feel like I would like to think it's a little obvious of what's going to happen with the title, and I feel like if a certain somebody may hold on to that, not hold on to that title, hopefully, think if there's a god, we'll just say it. If Hangman wins this title, you would have to think that there are endless opportunities to do something with him and Swerve again. They can do something with him and Osprey. Hell, they could do something with the three of them together. So why would you completely get rid of that for an entire year, and then by the time that year passes, that story is so just like dead that there's no point in trying to revive it because you guys put yourself into a creative hole,
Mm,
as opposed to okay, well, you can kind of spin it more creatively funny in a way if the EVPs lose their titles. So I feel like you got to have the Young Bucks lose, I think, this one. Because again, I think there's just more creative opportunity with that stipulation than with Osprey and Swerve losing.
right.
Because, like I said, the Young Bucks can just keep pretending like they think they have power, and then they're like, God damn it, no, we don't. Like,
Yeah.
they have to, like, kick themselves every week because they're like, ah, shit, we lost. Damn it, we can't do anything. So they kind of have to, like, go back to actually like wrestling, kind of back to what got them popular in the
Ooh.
first place.
Something
So
they don't do very often anymore.
exactly, and I think that's why they've lost their luster because let's be honest, I feel like the big thing with the Young Bucks, it was never so much their characters is why people love them. It was their wrestling.
Hmm.
Shockingly, I
Yeah.
know that's a very hard concept to understand clearly. So it's just like maybe if you kind of take them back to what got them famous in the first place, then you know what? Maybe they could actually revive the tag division a little bit that we literally just talked about is lacking because the Hurt Syndicate's not losing anytime soon. So I think Swerve and Osprey are going to win this one.
Well, you sold me. You
Yeah.
you should be a car salesman
Oh God.
for how good that was. You got me. I am definitely in agreement with you, and you know me. I'm the type that I like looking at the bigger picture. What can they build off of? What can the story do at the end of it? And like you said, there's more to the story with the Young Bucks losing their EVP titles and still trying to carry on as EVPs and not having that power anymore than there is by just saying Swerve and Osprey can't challenge for the belt for a year. Whoop-de-doo. And cause there's nothing you can do with that. They can't challenge for a
Well,
year. That's it.
ask Cody how that worked out for him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know me, I don't like things that handcuff you creatively. So I'm definitely in agreement with you. I think Swerve and Osprey are gonna take the victory and the Young Bucks will lose their EVP titles.
See, well, hopefully, if that's, if we know what we're doing, we'll see what happens. But
All right, next up we have Adam Cole defending the TNT Championship against the Protostar, Kyle Fletcher. Not really a story with this one. It's just a wrestling match.
yeah.
Pretty
Mom's still suffering though. She loves them both, so she's
Oh,
not happy.
okay. She's not happy. Man, Kyle Fletcher has been on an ascent that it's kind of hard to deny. Again, I am of the belief that Adam Cole should be a bigger deal in AEW.
Yeah.
Definitely bigger on the card. So maybe this is the part of that. And like Kyle Fletcher, if he was to win the TNT championship, it would kind of like make sense. Nobody's gonna bat an eye and say that doesn't make any sense at all. I'm kind of feeling the Protostar.
Yeah, I feel like they've kind of. I feel like they go through these like since Adams had the title. I feel like they've kind of gone through periods of time where they kind of forgot that he was champion and that oh hey, we should actually be focusing on the fact that he has gold. Like they should be making it a bigger deal than they have sometimes, and
Mm,
it's a shame because like we've said, Adam Cole should be in your world title picture, not holding on to the mid card. Like he's done that before, been there, done that. Give him something that's worth his time, and the world title picture is worth his time. And somebody like Kyle really would benefit from having something like the TNT Championship because you're the face of TNT. That's a big deal, and I feel like Fletcher's been getting close, but just has never really gotten that, like, not validation, I guess. I don't really know what to say or how to word it, but it's just like he's come so close and just hasn't like gotten it yet. And I feel like why not now?
Yeah.
Because I mean, granted, you could if you wanted to put like Adam back with like Paragon and try and help the whole tag division, which I feel like I don't think he needs to be a part of it. I feel like Kyle and Roderick can kind of do that themselves and not have to involve Adam in it at all because Adam can do his own thing and still should be going after the world titles. So you know what? I hate saying it, but I think Kyle's gonna win this one.
Kyle Fletcher, baby. The
But
pro.
that sign on Collision in the front right. I can't even say it. I can't even say it. But his fans will be very happy. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, the Fletchlights.
That sign. I'm just like, yes.
I lost it. I lost it. I was on
Did you?
I was on stream and I was just like, does that say Fletchlights? Like,
Uh-huh.
oh my god. What a name for a fan base.
Which is sad because I do like Kyle Fletcher, but I'm not entirely sure I would go so far as to say that. So,
you don't want to be a Fletchlight.
no, I will be a fan of Kyle, but yeah, if God, I just what a wild name. What a wild name for fans, but anyway, yeah, I feel like it's Kyle's time. I think he's waited long enough.
Good. I'm definitely in Green's there. I think it's gonna be a good match either way because Adam Cole could make a wet paper bag look good. So I think it's gonna be a good match either way. So I'm excited for this.
And Kyle's no slouch either. So it's like I would be shocked if they didn't have a good match.
This might be a sleeper, like one that you don't expect to be so good, but it ends up being one of the better matches on the card.
Yeah, I genuinely wouldn't. I would be shocked again if this wasn't if this was a bad match, and I would be shocked if it wasn't like a sleeper because it's Adam Cole and it's Kyle Fletcher. Like you're not going to go wrong with either of them.
Right. All right, so this one is probably going to end up being, if they can replicate what they've done in the past, this one could be match of the night, no problem. It is for the new AEW Unified Championship, where Continental Champion Kazuchika Okada will be taking on his arch rival Kenny Omega, the International Champion, and they will unify the titles, and only one man can be the champion. I really don't care who wins this match. All I want is I want the match to give me that feeling it did when I was watching them go at it in New Japan. If they can replicate their New Japan greatness, I'll be happy with whoever wins. If I have to just pick a name, I'm going to go with Omega. I think Omega can kind of still go at his level and be a great champion. I think Okada is just kind of happy being Okada in the United States, not having to beat down his body to oblivion like he had to do in Japan to make his name into a legendary status. So I personally am going to be going with Kenny Omega to be the new unified champion, but either way, I think this is going to be probably the match of the night, and it's going to really wow some people.
Yeah, I know Mom has been waiting to see Okada as like New Japan Okada, and if there's going to be any match that you're going to get as close to that as you're going to get, it's going to be this one, and it's not going to even be close. Like this is going to be insane. Like is it going to be the level of what they've done in the past? Probably not. I don't think so because it's tough to replicate what they've done, but also I feel like you kind of know that Kenny's not really what he used to be, but that's just age and injuries and stuff catching up to him a little bit. But that still doesn't mean that they're not going to go out there and most likely have the match of the night because it's kind of like Kyle and Adam. If they don't have a damn near perfect 5-star classic, I'm going to be a little shocked because it's just these two could wrestle each other with their eyes closed. They're just that good. They're those what's that for the wrestling soulmates?
They are definitely they are definitely wrestling soulmates.
So it's like you have to you just go in expecting that this is going to be a fantastic match. Could potentially steal the show. I wouldn't be surprised if it stole the show because that's just them. Hell, actually, you can't even say that it steals the show because I think everyone's just expecting it to be the best match of the night
Right.
anyway. So it might not have to steal anything. I think it'll just be in a pedestal all its own. But I also am going to say Kenny.
All right.
Just because if you flip a coin, I don't think anyone's going to be mad either way. But
Yeah.
yeah, just leave it to Kenny. Why not?
I don't think anybody's going to be mad. I think that's
No,
going to be the match of the night.
I agree.
All right, moving on. We have for the AEW Women's World Championship, we have Mercedes Moné, the belt collector, defending the title. Or no, she's not defending the title. She's going after the title. I'm so confused. She's got so many freaking belts. Yeah, she's got so many freaking belts that you automatically assume she's a champion, but she's not. She's going to be taking on the champion, AEW Women's World Champion, Toni Storm. I've been saying this. We've been asked on the podcast where we think it's going to go for months, way before this episode. And I said, and I still believe that Toni Storm is going to hand Mercedes Moné her first legit L in AEW. I think I don't buy into the idea that Mercedes doesn't have creative control.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one. I'm
Yeah.
just kind of like,
Yeah, I don't buy that she doesn't have some sort of creative control, but I don't buy into the idea that she's too above losing, especially to Toni Storm. I think in Mercedes' mind, she can have the match of the night, have an absolute classic with Toni Storm, and still be gracious in defeat.
Maybe behind closed doors, yes, but I feel like character-wise, she'll be a little pissed,
Oh yeah,
but
no. Character-wise, she's gonna be livid, but I feel like the professional Mercedes Moné is gonna be like, as long as I can do this right and we can have a barn burner, she wouldn't be upset about losing.
God. This is tough because you could see either way, honestly. I feel like I kind of alluded to it earlier that if Mercedes would win and then Stat would win the gauntlet match, then her and Mercedes could have another rematch because we kind of mentioned the phrase wrestling soulmates before, and Mercedes pretty much said Chris Statlander is her wrestling soulmate or one of them, so I wouldn't be opposed to those two having another match, but my problem is I don't entirely know what they're doing with Stat and the whole, like, are we corrupting Stat again thing? I really hope we're not, because they need to leave her alone and just let her do her own thing. I don't think she really needs to be involved with the Death Riders, because I would like to think that after All in Texas, the Death Riders are going to start to slowly die, for obvious reasons, but I feel like I feel like I'm gonna think of how to word it.
It's tough. It's tough.
Because just because Toni might win this initial match doesn't mean she's gonna win the war. I feel like it's all leading up at some point to Mercedes actually winning the title, but it's just a matter of if it's gonna be this weekend or if it's gonna be later down the line. But this is tough.
You're on the clock.
Oh god, I gotta make my pick soon. I feel like, but I feel like the way they're also kind of alluding to how even if Mercedes doesn't have creative control, which I know a lot of people don't believe that, us included, I feel like it's kind of like, I think she can pick and choose what she wants to do. I mean, obviously I'm sure the end all say all still Tony Khan, but it would be very naive of people to think that she doesn't have at least some sort of pull somehow. I mean, Tony's in love with her. So do you really think she's gonna lose on the biggest show of the year?
That's another one. Is she gonna lose the biggest show of the year? But she's been steamrolling, like she's been racking up wins like crazy.
Well, and that's kind of been the whole like rumor that's been going around is that they haven't even entered. I mean, obviously leading up to this, I don't know if it's changed yet, but I know that the longest running thing was that Mercedes was never approached about losing. So clearly the AEW creative did not have any plans in mind to have her lose. So I don't know if that's going to start this weekend or not. See, because I know we talked about when we talked about this a couple weeks ago, where we said it would be a very compelling story to have have Tony win, and then slowly have Mercedes lose belt after belt, and have her kind of like slowly descend into madness because she we used to win and now she can't win to save her life.
Right.
But I don't know if AEW is going to want to do that. I
Mm.
guarantee you, they're probably not going to want to do that. So. Yeah, fuck it. I'm just gonna say they're not gonna be able to help themselves. I think they're gonna put it on Mercedes.
Oh.
Yeah, I think
Oh.
they can't help themselves right now. When they have a shiny object
Interesting.
in their hands, they're gonna come hell or high water. They're gonna love that shiny new toy, and I think she hasn't lost her luster yet.
Interesting. Interesting. Definitely gonna have my eyes glued to the TV for this one now.
I mean,
Uh,
granted we've there's two other matches that we haven't picked right on either, or like the same on anyway. So I feel
right.
like it may come down to one of these matches possibly, or the opposite happens on both of them, and then we just all end up tying anyway. Who knows? But we'll
Interesting,
see.
interesting, interesting. So Shay says Mercedes Monet will be the new AEW Women's Champion by the end of the night, and I say Tony Storm is going to keep the title and hand Mercedes Monet her first L. But we shall
Believe me,
see.
believe me, I want Tony to win, but I just know that when AEW's dead set on something, it takes damn near impossible convincing to get them to think otherwise, and
You're
I don't
right.
think they're
No, no,
gonna.
you're right. You're absolutely right. So it's going to be interesting to see for sure, for sure. Now that brings us to the main event of AEW All In. It is a Texas death match. Of course, it is a
Yeah, why
Texas
not?
death match where AEW World Champion Jon Moxley will be defending the title against Hangman Adam Page. Texas death match. You know there's going to be blood. You know there's going to be violence. You know it's
Cash.
going to be chaotic. Uh I mean, really, all it boils down to is who do we think is going to win? I'm going with Hangman. I think it's finally
Yeah.
time to put the nail in the coffin of the Death Riders. This has been an experiment that it hasn't
Mhm.
been the best. Uh,
It's okay.
I haven't seen one person like say, "Yo, I really love what they're doing with the Death Riders."
Yeah, no, I haven't.
Like I haven't seen anything like that. I've seen more of the contrary, where they say, "Hey, we gotta put an end to this Death Riders thing because it's just not working out." But Texas Deathmatch obviously plays to the strengths of Moxley. I think part of me wants to believe that maybe Tony Khan looked at it and go, well, Moxley, unless it has a stipulation where he can go hardcore, he's not the best all around wrestler. At least
Yeah,
in my eyes. In my eyes as a fan, I'm not a fan of Jon Moxley. I think he's very much one dimensional. I think he's
yeah.
very much a one trick pony where if he can't bleed in a match or cause someone else to bleed, you're not gonna have a good time. You're not gonna have a good
No.
time watching. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, if you want a spectacle of a match, then a John Moxley match is not the one for you. It is,
yeah, especially a main event of a big show like AEW All In.
yeah, yeah,
You
that's,
know?
yeah, I mean, I feel like the outcome of this match was gonna be pretty self-explanatory. If anything other than Hangman winning this title happens, there's gonna be hell to pay with a lot of people, like, because again, if he can't beat him, then what the fuck are we doing
Yeah,
here? Like, this whole thing would have been a waste of time,
for
so
sure, for sure.
Yeah, it's got to be Hangman.
Yeah, I think we're both going Hangman. I think that's I think and it'll be a really good feel good moment for
Yeah.
AEW to vanquish it. It almost feels like if Hangman wins, it's almost like Sting defeating the NWO, just not on that grand scale. Like I
Oh,
think
oh yeah.
maybe that's what Tony Khan was going for with the Death Riders. Like he was gonna have his own like NWO that was gonna, you know, stamp out the cancer in AEW and make everybody act right and whatever whatnot. It just
Sure.
it just hasn't really worked out that way.
That's what we want to call it. Sure, I guess. But yeah, it was a, like you said, I wouldn't say it was a fun experiment. It was an experiment,
It was an
and that
experiment.
experiment would needs to end at All in Texas
There you
because
go.
we've had enough.
There you go. Well, we're both
And also,
rooting.
well, and I also realized too, we have to see like, is this finally going to be the time that Swerve like puts aside the differences and actually helps? Because Osprey's going to go flying out there, like
Oh
doing whatever he
yeah,
can to
yeah,
help.
yeah.
But that's the big thing that I think maybe not everybody's looking to see what'll happen, but I sure am. I'm like, is Swerve gonna come out and help Hangman? Because he pretty much had implied for quite a while that I don't need to help him, I don't want to help him because, for obvious reasons. So, do we finally put the differences aside for the greater good of AEW? We'll see. I would like to think yes, but I feel like that could also play into some more drama if he doesn't, because then him and Swerve can or Hangman can reignite that rivalry, and Hangman's got all the ammo where it's just like, look, you were so stubborn, you couldn't even help me when AEW's life depended on it. And I think that would be a very interesting kind of layer to their feud, but we'll see if that actually happens. But at the end of the day, Hangman has to win. There's just literally no other option. Like, and that's not even an exaggeration. There really is no other option because no way Moxley leaving that. No, if Moxley leaves Texas with that title, they're gonna have to do a lot of mental gymnastics to justify that because it doesn't make any sense,
Yeah,
like at all.
yeah. And I'm the type that like if I'm booking the show, I don't want any mental gymnastics because it's an old adage in wrestling. Once you confuse them, you lose them.
Yep, exactly.
So we don't want anybody being lost in the shuffle. We want to retain as many eyes as we can. Maybe some new wrestling fans are hanging out with their friends, or maybe some WWE fans are hanging out with their friends, and their friend ordered All In, because they're an AEW fan too. And that, one person that wasn't a fan of AEW, if you can come out of that being okay, I can maybe watch and keep up with AEW. That's a bonus. You always want to
Yeah.
sell one more ticket. So
Yep.
like you said, you don't want to confuse them. You don't want to leave them with more questions and having to play mental gymnastics, because at the end of the day, if they have to play mental gymnastics, they're just going to look at it and say it's not worth it.
Yeah, exactly. And once you lose them after this, then good luck getting them back.
Exactly. All right, so there you have it. We both have Hangman winning the AEW World Championship from Jon Moxley. Let's just go down the list really quickly. For the Hurt Syndicate match against the Jet Speed and Patriarchy for the AEW Tag Team titles, we both have the Hurt Syndicate retaining their Tag Team Championships. Swerve and Ospreay taking on the Young Bucks for the EVP titles if the Young Bucks lose, or Swerve and Ospreay can't challenge for the world title for a year. We both have Swerve and Ospreay winning against the Young Bucks and the Young Bucks losing their EVP titles. Adam Cole defends the TNT Championship against the Protostar Kyle Fletcher, and we both have Kyle Fletcher winning the TNT Championship from Adam Cole. Kazuchika Okada and Kenny Omega will do battle for the AEW Unified Championship, and we both have Kenny Omega winning that championship. And then we have Mercedes Moné taking on Toni Storm for the AEW World Championship. I say Toni Storm is going to retain the AEW World Championship, while you say Mercedes Moné will come out as the new champion. And like we just said a little while ago, Hangman Page will be defeating Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship. There's also 2 Casino Gauntlet Battle Royals for the men and the women to look forward to. And I'm sure, like we said, come Wednesday, after Wednesday's Dynamite, there's going to be maybe even a couple more matches added. This is the first time we've had more than one match. I mean, we have 3 shows listed here, but this is the first time we've had more than one match have a difference of opinion, a difference of prediction. So it's going to be very interesting to see. You have to give me back that predictions championship, because
is it gonna hurt you? Is it gonna hurt you if it comes down to Mercedes and she crushes your dreams?
yes, yeah, no question about it.
Worst part is it won't. It'll come down to whatever match happens in Evolution because Evolution's on Sunday. So
Yeah.
never mind. It'll
Yeah,
come down
true.
to
So we have
Gordon Grace and
we have to
Sort of-
wait. Interesting. I'm telling you, this is gonna be what a weekend of wrestling. Oh my God.
it's I'm tired already.
Yeah, and I mean, we've just covered 3 shows out of the 4 that are happening this weekend. Again, it's NXT Great American Bash, AEW All In, Saturday night's main event, and then Evolution on Sunday. So 4 shows are going to be happening this weekend. Craziness. Well, we thank you guys for listening to this episode, this extra long episode. We haven't had an episode this long in a very long time, so we thank you for listening. You can find this podcast all across the internet on any podcast platform you can think of. Just search up Ringside Rundown, hit the follow or subscribe button, whatever the platform asks of you, and you will never miss an episode of the Ringside Rundown. We come out with episodes weekly, and next week we're going to be talking about all of this madness, all of this wrestling madness that we have to sit through and consume. So you definitely want to be paying attention to that. You can find this podcast on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Audible, again, wherever you listen to podcasts. If you just so happen to not be able to find it on your platform of choice, just shoot us a DM on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at Ringside Rundown, and we will get you a link to the podcast on that platform of your choice. But it comes on a silver platter that you have to give us back, and make sure you give it back because it belongs to Shay's mom, and Shay's mom actually taught Soul Ruka the Soul Snatcher, and you don't want your soul snatched from Shay's mom.
No, and we're probably already on our shit list because we picked Adam to lose. So
I'm expecting an angry DM. I might even get a phone call. Yeah, this is I'm already waiting to see my phone blow up with her name and her start yelling and telling me she's taking me out of the will.
Yeah, and I probably won't be alive to hear the phone conversation, so it was nice knowing you.
All right, it was good. It was good doing all this podcasting with you all of these years.
It was great.
Yeah.
Great time. Who knew it was going to be the death of me too? So
yeah,
fun say that.
Throughout the week, you can come check me out on Twitch. I do live streaming for Monday Night Raw, AEW Dynamite, Friday Night SmackDown, and AEW Collision on Saturdays. You can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Ringside Rundown. Like I said, we're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Ringside Rundown, so follow along. We also have a YouTube channel at Ringside Run Pod. So subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we'd love to have you there. Shay, where can they get in touch with you?
You can find me on Twitter at @ShayRingside_ because I have now taken Erik's gig because I can.
She took my
title.
Yep.
Took title.
Oh wow! She had to throw the title in there.
Well, yeah,
wow.
You're not the only one that can throw jabs. I can do the same.
Wow! I thought your throat was hurting. I thought your voice was hurting.
I pushed through that just for that. Just for that little bit. It was totally worth it.
Just for that jab, she pushed through it. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to another episode of the Ringside Rundown. For Shay Hickson, my name is Erik Vasquez. Thank you for listening, and we'll check you out on another episode, guys. Take care.
See you later, guys.